Hello and welcome one and all. I hope you had a great weekend. How could I be anything but static when college football's back, Jeopardy's back, the NFL is back? I mean, so many things are making a comeback that I wouldn't be surprised if I saw the Black Eyed Peas going viral on Vine for planking. I mean, the timeline has been so confusing this week that I could have sworn I saw a young Paul Rudd on my For You page on TikTok.
You want a challenge? How about a Stop the Pandemic challenge? What about that? What about a Save Grandma challenge? That fun enough for you?
Who knows? Maybe Captain America didn't return all the Infinity Stones after all. But hey, any timeline in which I get to talk to you all is one I want to be a part of. So let's go ahead and check on the State of the U. Early this week, US News announced its 2021 Best College Rankings. This list is one of the most popular college rankings in the world, and many college higher-ups take these rankings very seriously. I have to say though, it's really nice to be reminded of the pre-corona times. I mean, I hadn't seen a millionaire get roasted like this since Elizabeth Warren gave Mike Bloomberg the work back in the February debate.
I've been nice to some women.
Senator? No.
Is that right?
The Big Ten Football Conference unanimously voted on Tuesday to have a football season. The Big Ten is now joining the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 in their decision. So this means that now 4 out of the 5 Power 5 conferences will be having a football season in the fall. Can you imagine being the Pac-12 right now? I mean, I hadn't seen a renegade like this since Charlie D'Amelio. This week saw multiple cases of gun violence at or around their campuses. Despite many universities trying to make an in-person semester work, it seems as though all the signs are pointing towards doing the exact opposite. I mean, I'm no psychic, but it doesn't take a brand freaking Stark to see what's going on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what's news. It's that time of the year again. The US News Best College Ranking for 2021 has been released. This university ranking has an ever-shifting methodology. So before we get started looking at the rankings, let's look at the biggest changes for the year. First, the weight assigned to SAT and ACT scores, as well as high school ranking, was reduced from 10% to 7%. COVID made many college tests optional, so the importance of test results went down. Similarly, the concept of free college has gained traction, so the importance of paying for college went up. The US college rankings methodology is so reflective of today's society that it will soon start awarding points to colleges that come up with the best giddy-up challenge. Now, as one can imagine, overall results, especially among the top 3 colleges, are largely the same. The list is led by Princeton, Harvard, then Columbia as the top 3, and the rest of the top 10 is made up of MIT, Yale, Stanford, University of Chicago, UPenn, Caltech, and Johns Hopkins. Now, although these changes to the methodology seem great and well-intentioned, this system is far from perfect. Let's take the University of Florida as an example. UF was ranked the 6th best public university in the country. Now, while this ranking is obviously good for them, it does not quite paint the full picture. You see, although UF has certainly become more selective in recent years, admitting fewer students with higher GPA and test scores, they are also admitting fewer students with significant financial need. According to the Chronicle of Higher Education, the percent of each newly admitted class at UF that comes from a low-income family fell from 15% in 2015 to 12.5% in 2019. That's like realizing that a hot dog eating contest is no longer checking for the size of the wieners. So you win after eating 60 mini hot dogs. Like, yes, you technically ate the most glizzies, but that doesn't make you a Joey Chestnut. Next up, the Big Ten announced they are playing football this year, starting the weekend of October 24. That's right, this is not a drill. Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, and the rest of the Big Ten will be tossing the pigskin after having previously announced that they were canceling all fall sport events. The breaking news came just a week after other Power 5 teams began their season. It kind of seems as though the Big Ten was looking out the window and saw how much fun the ACC, SEC, and Big 12 were having and turned to his mother and said, "Can I please go play with my friends? Please, I'll do anything. I'll clean my room, I'll do the dishes, I'll even bring Rutgers University with me and make sure the other kids play with them. And after much begging and pleading, it's finally happening. With rigorous testing policies, the Big Ten's 2020 football schedule will feature 8 games between October 24th and December 12th, with a conference championship game on December 19th. Also, on the day of the title game, all other conference teams will play cross-divisional matchups determined by their standing in their respective division. That will result in all the teams playing 9 games. The end of their season will be a day before the College Football Selection Committee announces their deliberation on what 4 teams are advancing to the college football playoffs on December 20th. And I cannot help but feel bad for the smaller schools who were excited to make it to their first playoffs, who now don't stand a chance because the Big Ten is back. Like, imagine you finally have the courage to go talk to the pretty girl at the bar, and all of a sudden, 13 really good-looking Ryan Goslings walk in and start hitting on her.
Hi.
I love you.
But I can't take my eyes off of you.
And in case it wasn't clear, to make that joke work, the girl is the national title, Ohio State's Ryan Gosling, and you probably are UCF. Our final story of the week comes out of Western Illinois University, where a student allegedly shot and wounded his roommate in their dorm. The alleged incident took place on Tuesday evening and led to classes being cancelled on Wednesday as police searched for the student and issued an arrest warrant for him. As we continued to follow the story throughout the week, we found that the 18-year-old student, Cavion Populus, turned himself in at the Chicago Police Department precinct the day after the roommate dispute. The bond for Populus has been set at $1 million. As far as the student who got shot goes, authorities said during a press conference on Wednesday morning that he underwent surgery and his condition is unknown. This story, however, is not the only instance of gun violence around or at a college campus, as it was preceded by a deadly shooting at an off-campus party near Rutgers University. It was reported that this was a birthday party happening on Delafield Street in New Brunswick, New Jersey, which is mostly populated by Rutgers students. The shooting resulted in 2 deaths and 7 injuries. However, the investigation has determined that there is no affiliation with Rutgers University or its students. There are so many things that make me sad about stories like these, from young lives being taken too soon, to people continuing to disregard CDC guidelines and continuing to host parties, but what crushes me the most is how desensitized we have become to this displays of violence. I want to take a moment to remind you that this is not normal. College should not be a game of Russian roulette where you either end up at a hospital for gun violence or COVID. Yet, here we are. Now, if you thought that all these news are wild, you have to stick around for what's next or else you won't believe it. A driver being pursued by the police crashed on Catawba College campus earlier this week. Now, I know that students are trying to do their best to do well in their classes during the pandemic, but this is taking crash courses to a whole new level. According to the police report, officers had attempted to stop a man driving at Chevrolet Lumina. The officers said the driver had ran through a stop sign, and instead of stopping, the driver led officers on a pursuit in the area of Brenner Avenue leading towards Catawba College. And I gotta say, in the middle of all the uncertainty in the world right now, I am glad that there is one constant that brings a sense of normalcy to my life. And that is that you can always count on a Chevrolet Lumina being the most goddamn sketchiest car in the world. It's the little things. Additionally, all practices and workouts have been suspended for several sports teams at the university in Boston. The main criteria for this decision seems to be whether or not they have games scheduled for the remainder of 2020. I applaud Boston University for making this tough decision. As someone who was a D1 athlete in college, I can attest to how much of a disadvantage it is to not have a fall preseason. Being prepared for what's coming is crucial in sports. I mean, that would be like having a national pandemic response team being disabled right before the greatest global pandemic in the modern history. Like, could you imagine what a mess we would be in?
Look at us. Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Who would have thought wearing masks would be a problem?
Not me.
Yikes. We are living through wild times and it is difficult to be optimistic all the time. Beyond trivial matters like college rankings and football, we are living in an era of rapid changes and our responses to these events will dictate the course of our lives. But as the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Ginsburg said, real change, enduring real change happens one step at a time. So keep your head up, and even if it's a small one, take that step today. This has been the State of the U. Hey, if you like this video and want to keep up with everything regarding college and education, do yourself and us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like it and feel free to check out some of our other videos. As always, please let us know if you have any questions.